Before we get into this video today, I want to give a quick, heartfelt rest in peace to Sabu, the professional wrestler. He was my second favorite professional wrestler. I made a video on the second channel yesterday talking about my interactions with him over the years and just my thoughts in general. He was someone that did so much for professional wrestling, and I always felt like he never got the flowers he deserved for his accomplishments in the ring, and he never got the monetary success or the peace of mind outside of the ring. But now I just hope in whatever follows us after this life that he is comfortable, he's no longer in pain, and he's at peace. Rest in peace, Sabu. You will be dearly missed by myself and millions of others. You were a true pioneer for professional wrestling, and I will never forget you as long as I am alive. But we do have some video game news to talk about. Switch 2 stuff, surprise, surprise. If you're a fan of Switch 2 stuff, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We got a couple different stories. A new Switch 2 feature was announced. A new Switch 2 game was announced. But the first thing I want to talk about very briefly, because I'm sure the economic and political experts will be in the comment section. This is wrong, RGT. Tariffs. Tariffs have become a thing that video game fans are all of a sudden completely experts on, and it's something I don't like to talk about too much because I don't like to talk about political crap. I don't care. I don't like any politicians. I think they all suck. And, you know, I don't care whether you love the current regime. I don't care whether you hate the current regime. That's your business. You're allowed to feel that way. But tariffs have obviously been negatively impacting video games in the United States. And, you know, feel about that how you want to feel about that and these other countries and sort of the deals and agreements that were in place with them. But one of the main ones was, of course, China. And China is a place where a lot of things are manufactured. China, of course, is where a lot of video game things are manufactured. And because of that, we started to see the rise of gaming-related things because of these tariffs that were imposed upon China. But like I always said, a tariff is something that can be negotiated. A tariff is something that can change. And it's going to be interesting to see if companies adjust things after tariffs potentially do change. And well, lo and behold, the United States and China have agreed to a new agreement, and tariffs are currently paused for 90 days. They're going to go back to the drawing board and try to work some things out with that as well. So really, like, what's going to happen now as far as Switch 2 accessories are concerned, the ones manufactured by Nintendo? Because remember, they changed those because of tariffs. Remember, Xbox raised their prices because of tariffs. So if that was the case, if that was the main reason why they changed the prices and increased the prices of all these things, by that logic, all of these things should come down in price then, right? We should expect to see revised pricing that's cheaper in the United States. And well, we all know that's not going to happen because the tariff and world economic situation, like I said the entire time, was just a safety blanket for companies to fall back on when they decided to raise their prices on things. So it'll be interesting to see if anything goes down in price. I don't expect it to. You know, maybe some smaller companies will mess around with stuff. Like my wrestling action figures, collectibles that I get, you know, from the newer, smaller companies, I think they'll be able to adjust prices based on things like this. But the big companies aren't, because they want your money and they are greedy sons of bitches. And that's just kind of how it is. And I will leave it at that. Have fun discussing this in the comment section down below. Next up, we have a new Nintendo Switch 2 related feature that it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I thought it was interesting enough. This was on the Nintendo application. They actually also showed how you can use the Nintendo Switch 2 mouse in order to navigate the home menu of the system. It looked a little bit choppy. I don't know if that's just because of the video that was being shown. I believe this was stuff that was on the Nintendo cell phone application that they put out there. But Nintendo revealed Switch 2 stops charging at about 90% remaining battery. Pausing the charge at about 90% reduces deterioration to the battery. Stop charging around 90%. If it's turned on, the charging speed will slow down around 90%. So basically, this is something that, you know, they always say, like, don't charge your electronics to 100% because it can deteriorate the battery. And this is something that Nintendo is implementing into the system itself to keep the battery as fresh as possible, I'm guessing, is the mantra that they are going for with this. I don't know, like, how long a Switch 2's battery life is as far as turning it off and turning it on and using it for many, many hours at a time and stuff like that. Obviously your cell phone tends to deteriorate over time, and pretty much all these electronic devices do. But I do find it interesting kind of for the future of things, like how that's going to work out. I guess you could always try and replace the battery in these systems, but without using things like AA batteries like we used to, which is now considered like archaic or whatever, I find this to be a bit interesting, how the longevity of this is going to last and how well your battery is going to function. But I think that and the mouse control, nice little features there. Like I said, the mouse control did look a little jank on the home screen, so I hope they manage to iron that sort of thing out. And the final thing I want to talk about, I'm trying to get through this video quickly for you guys because I respect your time. New Switch 2 game announcement. And this was one that made me very happy. This one was announced yesterday, and it made me very, very happy because you might remember recently Virtua Fighter 5, which came out a while ago, but they did a new edition of it called Virtua Fighter 5 Revo that only came out on Steam, and I was like, I'm not a PC player here, pal. Okay? I need this on a console. I need Virtua Fighter console. I want all the Virtua Fighters on console. One remix. Give me a remix. 2, 3, 4. I want all these on a console. But Virtua Fighter 5 Revo was announced yesterday as coming to the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series, and the Nintendo Switch 2. And folks, this is, I believe, as far as I can remember, this is the first time a Virtua Fighter game has come to a Nintendo platform, because Virtua Fighter 4 didn't come to Nintendo. Virtua Fighter 3 was a Dreamcast game. So I believe this is the first time that like a newer Virtua Fighter game has come to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, this is not the Virtua Fighter 6 that they have teased before, but I think this gives a good inclination that also Virtua Fighter 6 is going to end up on the Nintendo Switch 2 as well if they are bringing over Virtua Fighter 5 Revo. And I am very excited for this. Like, I know, older game, blah, 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 but there are quality of life improvements. There are balancing adjustments. The game does have rollback netcode as well, so when you play online, it'll be silky smooth. And there is cross-platform play on there as well. This is a day one buy on the Switch 2 for me because I think that game is going to look gorgeous in handheld mode. And I'm just super excited for it, man. Like, people have slept on Virtua Fighter for so long. They talk about their Tekkens. They talk about their other fighting franchises. But when you look at, like, 3D fighting franchises, a lot of them have just completely disappeared. And the fact that Virtua Fighter was honestly always so different than those other franchises in terms of, like, the gameplay, in terms of the control scheme, in terms of how things worked, like, I'm so happy that it's coming back. I think this is going to be a success. I think this is going to be a good shot in the arm. I know Tekken 8 just had a whole rebalancing patch that was so bad that they fired all of the people that did the rebalancing because they essentially ruined the game and people got so pissed off about it. So this, I think, is brilliant news. I think this is so good, and I think it's so important that this is coming. Virtua Fighter 5 Revo is coming to the Switch 2 because I think it's a great inclination that the next Virtua Fighter game, Virtua Fighter 6, will also come to the system as well. So let me know your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section down below. I know we were all over the place in this video with Sabu, tariffs, features, and a game, but like, that's how my mind works. My mind is all over the place at all times. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Be sure to check out the video on the second channel where I talk about Sabu and reminisce about our interactions over the years. He was a one-of-a-kind dude, man. There will never be another Sabu. Never. Never, ever, ever. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.